Winter, slow to let go of Revachol, flecks some more wet snow from above. The snow falls lazily, making the beach sand paler still. And to think, it seemed as though it were already spring. You're warm in your hat and your coat. Like a well-equipped explorer, you comfortably survey the white landscape. More winding coastlines lined with abandoned buildings, crumbling piers, salt water lapping at their dark piles, grey and red forgotten city blocks. What remains of the waters turn black, coal city in the shadow of San Martin, a boom town. Back when coal extracted from countless shafts near the city was needed to power Revachol. No more. The coal was supplanted by petroleum from the ocean floor and hydropower from the Esperance. Everything crumbled. These days, only the weakest remain in Coal City. Their hopes of getting rich linger in the defunct below the old mines. L'Océan Municipal, Revachol's underground cemetery. Le Petit Rat braved the underground passageways, trying to get to Le Royaume, where the Philippian kings were interred with their doctors and their admirals. Mausoleums, burial chambers, leaf gold still remains on the double door of the morning. Children under 14, they go underground looking for artifacts to sell to foreign museums and for fabled relics. Their parents let them. They go deeper. Few Petit Rats return from the shafts. Even fewer find what they're looking for. A small child steps out of the black tunnel. All around her, white snow on the extinguished coke furnaces and on the weather-worn shacks where fathers beat their sons after drinking. The snow melts on your fingers, turning to water. The canal you crossed to get here and beyond it. Martinez proper, the district the police forgot to police. There is laughter, lights, attempts at entrepreneurial activity, cynicism. Someone is scraping snow off their windshield at the roundabout, in the midst of which a statue of Philip III serves as a destination for grade school field trips. A fenced-off yard. There's a truck belonging to a logistics company parked next to the gate. Bright light from a building behind the fence reflects off its hood. Clean white light coming from the windows of a clean cube-shaped office building hidden amidst ruins. The abandoned church, one of two remaining stave churches which were collectively called Les Sept Sœurs. The other 6 sisters were destroyed during the Revolution. A serpentine strip of land weaving its way into the Martinez Inlet. Unfortunates on the run from the law, from themselves, sometimes hide out on nearby islets. Little dots in the ocean that are occasionally submerged when the tide is high and the weather foul. Then there's Ozone, but the snow falls too thick. You cannot see. The Bay of Revachol, vastness, great depth, over 1,200 meters at its deepest. Water, and at the farthest reaches of the Bay of Revachol, the shadow of the coalition warship Archer, on perpetual patrol duty, ready to unleash artillery fire if you were to rise up against the market. Coalition aerostatics hang like apparition under the cloud cover. Occasionally, lights flash as they maneuver through the falling snow. The raised motorway, 881, separating Martinez from Jamrock. Vehicles whoosh past one another day and night, while those who reside in the labyrinthine alleyway was once a park, a place for reflection and recuperation for the patients of the old military hospital. In the 20s, it was used as a quarantine center during a measles outbreak that killed many children. Most everyone has avoided the hospital and surrounding park. The pox is completely wild now. Evergreen thickets covered in snow and industrial dust. Feral dogs and even wolves roaming in packs. The heavy drug users do slip through and hole up in the old military hospital, hoping to find something to get high on among the hastily abandoned supplies, or just to overdose in peace. A line of motor garages with armored carapaces hunched in the cold. A mechanic is hard at work, patching up bullet holes in the side of a Capri 40. These are the garages of Precinct 41. Snow settles on the roof of the repurposed silk mill. It serves as your station. Shivering RCM personnel. Around you, the snow continues to fall. To the west, the stairs descend to central Jamrock. A man named Cooklove has a snow-covered stall there, in the market across the bridge. He sells kebab infested with fly larvae to your colleagues who believe eating it will make them immune to food poisoning. Snow falls on the utility district, the library, the florist, the Sarah Mauritian restaurant that offers homemade wine, and all of this built around a lake that formed in a meteorite strike. At the center of this lake, there is a little ship. There are lights at the bottom of its hull. They are lights directed toward the seafloor, looking for something, like whisk. A chill comes over you, crawling down your back. The sand under your layer upon layer of sand, poisoned with industrial runoff. Someone stuffed a big old polar anorak into a concrete pipe under the boardwalk. It would keep you warm. You would probably never happen across it. But who knows?
We should keep moving. Who knows when the snow will let up?
A metal payphone under a yellow... You hear the tone. The machine is inoperable. Calling. Still calling. This feels wrong. End of tone. Someone pick.
Is that you, Pierre? So nice of you to find the time to call me. It gets so lonely. Even the animals have died. Are you sure you're Pierre?
Her voice is drowned in white noise. So you get a sinking feeling. It makes you look if Lieutenant Kitsuragi overheard you. The smell, it's awful and familiar. It doesn't help. You can keep it in now. Don't overreact. Breathe. Don't you recognize it? That something cold wakes in the pit. It is death. The lieutenant has already brought...
Eyes up, detective. Something's not right here.
There's some tear, an empty cigarette package, and a man lies on the boardwalk, his limbs bent and neck turned at an unnatural angle. Right next to him is an empty bottle of half of his body has slipped between the cracked boardwalk, starting with the right leg. The smell is not as bad as a 2-week-old corpse, but it's definitely heading there.
Hold on. Lividity is faintly pronounced. Whoever this is has been dead for 2 days. No longer. We need to investigate.
Another dead body. This is your job. Steal your calm now. Carefully. Just another day. Just another dead body. Breathe. There's some dried blood on the metal bench, right where the corpse's head rests. The floorboards are rotten and slippery wet around the hole. An empty bottle lies nearby. A chewing gum wrapper is clutched. The entire boardwalk creaks in the wind. He's wearing mud-caked boots, beige trousers, and an old brown leather jacket with a bright blue lining. There are traces of kebab sauce on his chest. The leather jacket suits him well. It must be custom. You find some sunflower seeds and a rain-soaked library card folded into 2. His jacket feels sodden and heavy under your hand.
Good. We should take a look at that library card after this is done.
The man has fallen through a crack in the boardwalk and hit his head against the metal bench. Coagulated blood covers his black hair. One of his feet is still dangling through the hole. You have to be quite inebriated to fall that bad. Well over a liter of pure ethanol. 3 bottles of wine, or 1.5 of spirits. Or maybe it was just dark. His expression is dull, like the sea behind him. Drops of water shining on his mustache. His eyes empty and wide. Height 170 to 175 centimeters. Curly hair. Stout build. Age approximately 50 to 60 years. He was confused when he died. Confused and alone, most likely. Overcome with the awful surprise of it all.
Looks like one of the locals. He'd have to know this spot to come here. You don't just walk over here. But that's just a lazy assumption. What do you...
At least this man knew how to party. Imagine... This is an omen. A sign from above that you need to stop drinking.
We do know that he was married. But you're right. Let's not run ahead. For now, all we know is that he's an unidentified middle-aged man found dead on the Martinez boardwalk.
There's some dried blood on the metal bench, right where the corpse's head rests. The floorboards are rotten and slippery wet around the hole. An empty bottle lies nearby. A chewing gum wrapper is clutched in his fist. A dried chunk of blood covers the hair at the back of his head. An open wound. It's sticky and cold to your touch. This is what killed him.
I don't see any other major wounds, do you? Seems like the head wound was fatal. It's exactly the shape of the bench.
They screech under your feet ominously. It's hard to say whether the dead man's weight was the cause of the boardwalk to break. It definitely looks fragile. You see waves churning below. Something cracks beneath your feet. He could have easily disappeared into the sea through that hole, and you would have never found him. A .75-liter Tallulah vodka with its cap missing. There's hardly anything left inside. It's mid-market spirits with a slight touch of menthol. The man meant to enjoy himself, have a good time.
tear all around us.
Grabowski spearmint chewing gum. Green leaves on the cover. The man's mouth is half agape from the terror of the fall, the blackness of death, stench.
He ate the whole pack, right? It's to cover the smell of alcohol before going home. I've seen it before. Almost the same scenario, even the chewing gum. It's always the same.
The entire boardwalk creaks in the...
Death by misadventure. He slipped and fell through the boardwalk. A truly unfortunate accident. If it wouldn't have been for that bench, he'd be alive. What about it? The deceased ate some kebab. It's probably from an...
Sometimes a kebab is just a kebab.
No, I don't see anything that points in that direction. For now, let's treat this case as a simple, albeit sad, accident, unrelated to the murder.
Yes, but what if there's a killer on the loose? 2 suspicious deaths.
Without any further evidence, yes. Oh, yes. Some symptoms of acute alcohol poisoning could have definitely played a role here. Severe confusion, respiratory depression, unpredictable behavior. But I think that death arrived through head trauma, not liver failure. They'll seal this place off after the news reaches the coalition officials. I doubt that they have enough resources to... Not that sealing it off would keep anyone away. All it does is keep the city council's hands clean. It does seem to be a pretty straightforward misadventure, although there's still a question of identifying the body. From where I stand, I can see 2 options. We either take the case and follow the leads to identify the body on our own, or we report back to the station and leave this for our colleagues to handle. A field autopsy isn't necessary if the cause of death doesn't appear to be criminal. I'd say we should just write down head trauma in the autopsy report and leave it at that. It would save us at least 2 hours of... Maybe, but we don't really have much time or resources to spare. The guys at processing will take care of the rest. No need to rush.
A man lies on the boardwalk.
From where I stand, I can see 2 options. Alright, we should first examine the library card you found. Then we can call the station from my kinema. Let them know we're...
Someone has left an unidentifiable article of clothing on the cloth, if you can still call it that. Makes a it's streaked with dried seagull shit and tangled with pieces of seaweed. A dangling arm suggests that there might be a jacket beneath. It seems likely that it was left in the surf until someone laid it out.
Please tell me you're not taking that with you. A clue? You think our suspect is a seagull who's been defecating on unsuspecting jacket?
A poet could write a dozen verses and still not begin to capture. You should still... Heavy wooden doors, more than twice your height. Nothing happens, only the sound of the padlock rattling.
I don't think that's good.
High above, the wind wraps the church in its rush, cold and wet.
There is a hole in my heart.
The lieutenant looks at the padlock. He didn't hear you asking. You were quiet enough. The carving on the door is block-like and angular, like the church itself. Two large beams shoot downwards, sinking into the wood before they reach the threshold. The surface is smooth from the wind, but moist to the touch. This cheap-looking padlock is sturdily built. It shackles together a hasp and a staple screwed into the wooden door. You see a yellow circle with two X's and a big curve below them that looks like a mouth. You're pretty sure you haven't seen it before, but what the symbol depicts is clear enough. A smiling dead guy. There is something blindingly modern about this symbol. He takes off his glasses and uses a blue handkerchief to thoroughly wipe them clean before inspecting the sticker. Then he looks up, pauses, and replies.
No. Looks like a dead man smiling. Suggests junior delinquency. I haven't seen that sticker before, and I'm not a youth.
This cheap-looking padlock is sturdily built. It shackles together a hasp and a staple screwed into the wooden door. The lock, there's nothing like the sound of a sticker unpeeling. Now it's stuck to your thumb. Looks like today was a gold star day. The padlock passes through a staple that's been hastily attached to the wood. Closer inspection reveals that one of the screws is not a screw at all, but a nail. Should you want to get through, it might be easier to just...
Maybe we should circle the building first and look for another way. The building has seen enough mystery.
There is a touch of guilt in his voice.
Yes, the pulsing base. A sure sign of junior delinquency. Somewhere east of here.
towards the depot. The wind has blown a sand dune in front of it. The door hasn't been opened in a long while. You see a handle.
It's military. A service depot of some sort. Probably something that is no longer there.
Heavy wooden doors, more than twice your height. You jam the pry bar between the lock and the staple and apply force. The pathetic old wood, rusty screws, and one nail stand no chance against the forces of leverage. From deep within, a bellow rips. Suddenly, the pry bar snaps. Metal shavings fly everywhere. The upper half, between the lock and the staple, falls to the ground with a thunk.
Tools break, officer. Try to control yourself.
The broken edge of the snapped pry bar is smooth. Took the tip right off.
I don't know. You don't? Or maybe we'll find a new one. I don't carry more than one pry bar with me. I thought this was a lousy way to enter a place of worship that's already in disrepair. I guess the church agreed.
This was surely just a freak accident.
I'll notice the windows, especially with how there are no windows on the south side. This was to deal with. You officers, come to investigate the historic subtext of West Martinez? I'm Tran Hailostam. You must be Kim Kisuragi, right? I was just telling my son about this building. Not a lot of people realize the historic significance here. Very rich in hypertext.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, hypertext. Young Carp and the collection of cultural hyperlinks.
He's just making up fancy words.
Oh yes, so Mikhail. They had to deal with monitor glare, especially in the summer. They still had vector monitors back then. That was 49 years ago. So they didn't have windows on the south wall. No, I can't say that we've met before, but I've heard of Kim, of course. Mikhail, say hi to the officers. Mikhail's a little tired today. We spent all night trying to run Orbis on his radio computer. Have you heard of it? It's a programming language used in Grad. Quite tricky, but he wanted to play this Grad-made adventure program. We've been getting really into verbs lately.
The man speaks in the artificial cadence of a professor, or someone who's been on too many.
But I assume you're not here for giant worms when there are so many real things to see. Just as I was telling Mikhail before, this is where the Coalition landed in '08. We could be standing on what is the most interesting landmark in Revachol West.
Wow, get a load of this guy. He really enjoys his trivia. The Orbis programming language was named after its inventor, Victor Orbis, a cybernetician from Grad. They run
Aha! But it's not just any empty old building. What not a lot of people know is, this used to be the R&D department of Felt Electrical. And Felt, which now sells ink cartridges mostly, was once a top dog in the turn-of-the-century cybernetics boom.
Hold on. What's R&D? It looks old and weathered, with seagulls picking apart its stone and metal carcass. Bushy undergrowth has taken hold of the collapsed rooftop. Some kind of bird has set up a nest.
Apologies, it's an acronym for research and development. They don't use it anymore. You're probably more familiar with RTD, research and...
Mea culpa. You are not...
That's not surprising. Only a vestigial ink cartridge and ferrotape manufacturer remains. They started out as a midway electronics outfit in Königstein 2 centuries ago. After an aggressive move to Revachol, Feld became a global player in the emerging personal electronics market of the pre-revolutionary era. Still, Tricentennial was beating them in business machines. But Feld had an ace up their sleeve, or should I say they were developing an ace up their sleeve. I'm mixing my metaphors here. It was here in Martinez, possibly in this very building, that they developed... No, thanks to you for having me and little Mikhail here to pick your brain. A very interesting conversation indeed.
Weather has not been kind to Lily's little sandcastle. The once mighty towers are quickly... The walls and floors give way to the giant's greed, collapse and present you with a pair of ceramic
Congratulations. That's the gauntlets down then. We're doing good on the armor collection front.
Aye, the sea's gonna calm down soon. I can feel it. The wind is turning southeast. What's on your mind? Oh, that's good to know, I guess. Why is it in the sea? That's great. Until then, you should maybe start thinking about the funeral.
Sire, she doth not believe it wasn't you.
Police business. I understand. Anything I can help you with?
The old woman still hums. There's a gap where the name of that song should be. You should ask her about it right now.
Me? No one. Just an old washerwoman. Mother called me Isabel, if that's what you're asking. Now it's your turn, Mr. Quite a handle you got there. So many titles. One of them double. A lullaby my mother used to sing. I sang it to my kids too. Yes, it does. Stay. Most people here are trying to leave. That said, if lodgings is what you're looking for, I've got a free room in the shack. I won't charge you for it. Take it as a gesture of goodwill from the village to the RCM. Oh, don't. It's your choice. No skin off my teeth. My kids grew up and left like we do. The house is long empty now. I live in the small side attachment. Aye. The room is pretty bare bones, but it's got a bed and roof over it. That's more than some folks have around here. Surely not the first one. So are you interested or not? Suit yourself. But should you ever need shelter, just us. It's barely a village anymore. This is pretty much a non-place. A gap. A blank spot on the map. Just a cluster of nameless...
The place is so pornographically poor, it's not even funny.
Well, there's Lillian and her kids. And then there's the drunks. Not a pretty sight, but there's little we can do about it. Lillian is tough. Tougher than the men here, at least. If it wasn't for her and the kids, this place wouldn't have a spark of life left. I'm sure you did. Nature keeps them in rotation. A new face pops up every now and then an old one disappears and is forgotten.
She nods, rinsing another piece of cloth.
Eh? What's this about? Come now, I can't read all this scribble. Tell me what it says. Huh. I might be half blind, but it looks like part of the village is gonna be a street. The best part. The part we need to get out of our house. I see Lillian's name is already here. The girl is cute. I've seen it all before. You think they've got our interests at heart? Rich men are... Then the poor get pushed out of their homes and the rich get a little richer. That's the...
She is headstrong, but there's a slight hesitation in there. You may be able to convince her. Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox, and the
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you? One moment. Can you please describe the body? Age, sex, cause of death?
We suspect he might have been inebriated when he fell. There were bottles all around him, and traces of vomit on his shirt.
Any signs of violence? No field autopsy necessary.
You can hear her quickly typing in the background.
What about his belongings? Did you examine his clothes? Any information on the library card?
You can hear her sigh.
Do you and Lieutenant Kitsuragi want to take the case, or should I have assigned the case to Lieutenant Kim Kitsuragi. Please follow up. That's all for now. Thank you for reporting in. Is there anything else I can do for you? Still no word, I'm afraid, sir. I know it must be frustrating. 57th, over and out.
In the cabin, you see a set. The library card is folded into two, and Billy is a unisex name. Could be the deceased, or whoever owns this card is an avid reader. You find a list of books written in blue pencil. Radio thriller. Stand a little less between me and the sun. The last one in the list is The Glinting Curve by M. Theobald. Most of these titles seem to be in the sci-fi genre. Some thrillers too. If lost, please return the card to the library. Dial 00502.
Good. We should give them a call from my kinema. See if we can learn anything about Billy Méjean.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you? Hold on, officer. I've got Central Jamrock Public Library on the line, and I've already introduced you to their librarian. Connecting the call in 2, 1.
Yes, this is Central Jamrock Public Library here. How can I help you, officer?
He sounds worried, yet ready to assist. This...
Billy Majon, you said. Give me a moment, I'll have to check our database.
On Moreau Drive in central Jamrock, in a darkened hall lit by orange desk lamps far away from the noise outside, a middle-aged man taps commands into an...
Yes, hello, are you still there? I found Billy Majon's home address, is that alright? No phone number, unfortunately.
They're too poor to have a phone line.
Here we go, sir. Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 33B, apartment number 20. It's in Martinez, I believe. Cape Side Apartments, it says. That's all.
That's where the smoker on the balcony lives, isn't it?
It says here that they returned their last book just a few days ago, but I wasn't at work that day. Marie? Marie? Do you remember a reader named Billy Majon? They returned a Tybalt book the other day. Yes, it was my colleague Marie. She said that it was Billy's husband who returned the book. He also asked for this new sci-fi release, Lowe's Radio City 87. But we don't...
Good. You have a name now.
Sorry, no. Marie only knows him by sight. Marie? She said it was an older man, and that she's pretty sure he'd had a drink or two the last time she saw him. 1 second. Sorry, Marie wasn't really paying any attention to that. Marie knows Billy. She's been working here longer than me. Sometimes her husband returns some books for her.
And then goes for a little drink later. On the lookout.
Happy we could help. Goodbye, officer.
Anything else you need from me? Right. Please hold.
10-4, come in. 10-4, sir. Glad to hear that. I'll write down that there is no need to issue a new one to you then. Over.
Feels good to get that off your chest, right? Celebration with beer?
Roger that. 10-10, over and out.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone,